Hello, hello, hello. This is Dale Novella with the Poet Podcast on Skies Crescent Radio. I hope all y'all are doing wonderful. Happy New Year. And today we have an amazing panel of black men here to talk shit. I'm going to start on my right. I almost always start with Baxter Wordsworth, but I'm not today.
What? New year, new you.
Exactly. So our first guest panelist is Mr. Jason Marshall, highly acclaimed jazz saxophonist or saxophonist of all genres. He's he's blushing. Black men blush.
Uh-oh.
And I met Jason a few years ago working at a very prominent jazz club here in New York.
Yeah.
And what else do you have going on, Jason?
Just kind of playing all over the city, and when I travel, all over everywhere else.
Yeah.
There's not that many of us in the city, so once you get past a certain threshold, you just answer the phone and show up when you're supposed to.
Cool.
It's just very few. I mean, I know since I've been here, there's been 2 people to show up in 15 years. So, yeah, being a professional musician is, in a way, it's a good gig to have because when the economies change, the trips just get different, but you don't really stop working because almost nobody can do what you do. Almost nobody.
Cool. Thank you for being here. Are you excited to be here?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I know you literally just got off your bike.
I just finished another gig, and I had to get, from the West 20s to here, or mid 20s, so the only way to get here safely and quickly for free is that way.
That's what's up. Well, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Now, next on the panel.
Here it comes.
My intros are brilliant.
They're amazing. I know they're amazing.
So McCalamine is an amazing lyricist, educator, royal traveler, event curator.
That's good. That's perfect.
You know what? I'm gonna leave it there. How you doing, McCalamine?
I'm doing what? Am I doing yours this month?
You can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi.
What you got going on?
Well, first off, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You know what? A lot of can we say what's going on? Can I what we just found out?
No.
No. Okay. I
No.
won't. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll say that for another time then.
Oh, the email we got?
Yeah.
Oh.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
no.
but we haven't finalized that, so no.
I wonder what Dale thought it was. She said no the first time. She was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but no.
Well, technically it's not finalized, but it is finalized. But
All right.
other way. But I do have something really cool coming up. Here in the city, rocking Skylight Open on the 17th.
Dope.
Restoration Arts is going to be fun. There is another amazing artist on that bill by the name of Dale Novella,
Hey.
who will also be rocking. So that'll be fun. And then I head out to Indiana University February 16th because I'll be speaking at the Golden Age hip-hop conference that's going on there. I'm presenting a paper. Basically, I presented similar things at other universities, but basically talking about sort of like the socio-political history and how it connects to the music and vice versa. So looking at police brutality in the 80s, the divestment from South Africa, and a few other like major social issues, and how hip-hop responded to that, but also influenced individuals like myself to actually become change makers moving forward, and how that sort of like the golden era. I mean, you think in almost every like form of music. You think of like the bebop era in jazz. You think of like the late mid '60s for like rock and psychedelic. Like there's always these eras of like tremendous like creative growth. But particularly in black music, we're always doing black American music. I'll say we're always basically responding to the realities that we're facing and dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going to be speaking about at Indiana University. So that'll be fun. And then I guess maybe next month we'll talk about the big news.
Yeah.
The other big news thing.
The other big news.
That's
The other
happening,
big news.
but we're not sure.
All right.
Yeah.
But it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Thank you for being here,
thank you.
McCalamine.
So,
No, there's one more person.
Oh, you're last.
Yes, I'm last.
Oh, okay.
I like the fact that he was ready. He was ready to go.
So, the last person on our panel, other
Hey.
than myself, is Mr. Baxter Wordsworth. How you doing, Baxter?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a good 6 days. You
Oh,
know,
nice.
it's been a strong week.
So, Baxter, you are a host of many things.
I am.
A host of The Poet Will Be Televised.
Yeah.
A host of formerly the longest running weekly hip hop open mic.
Currently
in the
monthly
world.
open mic. Yeah. Well, sporadically.
I noticed that. I was like, wait, I haven't seen any advertisements for end of the week recently.
Well, we don't know if we're starting it. Well, that's what's going on. I have we actually have a meeting after this. We don't know if we're starting in January. We're trying to reformat a lot of things. To just be transparent, the idea is to take the challenge and make it more of a theatrical thing than a kind of like
shit.
yeah, you know, maybe do it in places where people can sit down and like watch, and the artists can be well, we're working on things. We've got high hopes, like ants that move rubber plant trees. Yeah.
Or the Dwarfs.
Dwarfs?
Isn't that one of their songs?
No.
Who
But,
sings that? High hopes.
Also, the poet will be
Whatever.
televised is coming up next week.
Wait, what's that?
It's it's an amazing jam session that goes on every second Wednesday of the month at Sylvana's, hosted by myself, curated by one Dale Novella. This month we have Naima Bug performing.
Yes, we do.
And that's,
Amazingly dope.
yeah, that's going to be very dope. I cleaned my bathroom for New Year's, and it was sparkling clean. And let me tell you something. I've spent a good amount of New Year's on this planet. Walking into a sparkling clean bathroom on January 1st is an underrated experience. It was so clean that I almost forgot like I cleaned it. I walked in and I was like, damn, this place is clean. Oh, yeah. I want to share that with everybody.
Well, we're very happy for you, Baxter.
Thanks.
Very
man.
nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And now, here to introduce me is McCallamine.
So, the woman, the myth, the legend,
Mm.
world traveler, entrepreneur extraordinaire, makes a mean macaroni and cheese and stuffing and cranberry sauce. And yes, I know that someone else made it this time in South Carolina, but I've had it before.
No, I made it in South Carolina.
Did you?
Not the macaroni and cheese, but the stuffing and cranberries.
Yeah, I was just specifically talking about the macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
Amazing singer, poet, writer, educator, the future mother of my children. Because that wasn't the big news, so that's what I thought everybody
got
like.
news
They're
bigger
like,
than
they're
that?
like, wait, what are you
Yeah.
talking? Future, it's gonna happen. What else? I mean, there's just so much to be said. We'd have the whole show.
Oh, my.
Miss Dale Novella,
Hey.
what are you up to?
Well, as everyone has been talking about, this wonderful event called The Poet Will Be Televised is happening on January 9th,
Hey.
featuring Naima Bug.
Mm-hmm.
And then on January 13th, we have the Revival Soul Cypher. So if you're feminine, you have a feminine identity and you are a vocalist, singer, rapper, beatboxer, poet, come through, spit. I am working on several projects still. Been in the studio a lot, on some cover EPs. I just got invited to South by Southwest with the label Noir, so me and Jade are going to be out there. And then we have other big news.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I have other big news, but we'll talk about that once it's finalized. Mikal and I will both be on the bill on January 17th at Restoration Plaza, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
That's in Brooklyn.
it is.
Yeah.
Is it?
Bed-Stuy.
Yeah.
Right off of Fulton and Ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I forgot something, too. EO Dub is having an event this month, January 31st at Bar 13. There will be, what's it called? The Dub Open Mic. So the open mic portion of EO Dub is going to be separate from the challenge portion, and it's going to go down this month.
Nice.
Oh,
There's also a live band component as
Oh, wow.
well.
real?
Yeah.
Who's in your band?
One, Simone Acosta, surprisingly, but also who's everywhere. Shout out to Simone. But also Swiss Chris was on
Oh,
drums.
okay.
Wow. I heard that
D-
name forever. Swiss Chris.
DJ
Yeah.
Polarity was on the ones and twos.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait, no drummer or no
Guitars?
guitarist, bassist.
Not currently, but I will tell you, I had minimal input on this production-wise.
Oh,
This was another branch of the dub, but I went to the last one. It was very dope. It was very cool.
Who's the host?
Osiris Anthem and Vice Versa, I believe,
Oh.
tag team duties hosting. But it was dope,
nice.
if I do say so myself. But yeah, that's January 31st. Also, my birthday is January 30th.
Yes, it is.
You're right.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
Anywho,
I've had practice.
we're all New Yorkers. We're in this beautiful city. Some call it the greatest city in the world. And there is an anthem that McAlamine is featured on by Rabbi Darkside. So we're going to listen to that.
Shout out to Rabbi Darkside.
being open. So the poll will be televised like you Scott Haran. And when we step upon the stage, it's like a magic wand. We're playing with the words and the words will be ripping. This style of the microphone gets you high like you tripping. It's a secret black bandit in a song or it's a song. This is a freestyle song and maybe it'll go long and maybe it'll go right or maybe it'll go wrong or maybe we're with everybody and they are like, come on. I don't know when this hit and I'm backfire. Secret black banana. Some poor shit. I don't know but it's never been falling. The formula to warm you up and live is directed as repeat. Come on, come on. Show me the promise ain't like band-aids and here back six man. I got my pockets to hang a cheap also a bandana. I'm rapping around my head. I'm not a scammer, but I'm right here. I can flex and go wild out like everything in New York City. Yeah, New York City. In New York City. In New York City. New York City. New York City. New York City. All time ago. Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten, double New York. Let's make it happen. Every rubber hold it down. We get the fuck to it. Yeah, let's make it happen. It's all Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten, double New York. Let's make it happen. Every rubber hold it down. We get the fuck down. People all over the world.
All right,
New
so
York
that was
City.
Rabbi Darkside featuring McAlamine with New York City Part 2.
Yep.
And originally a third-party song, as McAlamine so tastefully informed me while it was playing.
3P in the building.
Yeah. Third Party is the most infamous rap group of all time. That was an exaggeration.
Your hyperbole
Sorry.
is amazing.
Whose members are?
Whose members are Rabbi Darkside, McAlamine, and a singer and rapper and photographer named Farbion.
Yes.
So that was them. So one thing that I was thinking of when I was listening to this song is how much New York has changed just since I've been in New York, which is almost 7 years since May. And everyone in this room, because they're in the room, there are 2 native New Yorkers. There's someone who moved to New York about a year before me or 2 years before me, and then there are 2 people who've been here almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
So we've all seen different levels of change, and we've all lived in different neighborhoods.
Sure.
I know Baxter has lived all over the place.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
So what things do you miss about Old New York? What are your favorite things that you miss about Old New
Oh
York?
my God.
$1.50 falafel.
$1.50 falafel.
Word.
Yeah, on McDougal.
Mahmoud's.
No,
The one across the street?
Yatagans. Yatagans across the street from Mamoon's, and then on the same side of the Yatagans, toward the, what's that next one?
What,
From it's not Second Street, it's whatever the next thing. Like McDougal and
Bleecker.
Bleecker.
Yeah.
So closer to Bleecker, there was another one that was good. Mamoon's was just popular because they were
It was right next door to the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't mess with them. Plus, I like pickles on my falafel, and they still don't have pickles.
Gotcha.
Oh.
They just the only one left, so you know.
I miss rapping in the streets.
Word up.
Well, I mean, people still rap in the streets. Shout out to Legendary Cyphers. But I miss, like, that being where you had to go to rap. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this might be me on my, get off my lawn, you crazy kids.
No, but that's facts, though.
But it's like, today in the age of the internet, it allows people to kind of, like, be bigger than they actually are.
Sure.
And you know, it is, things change, and it is what it is. I'm not saying this is better or worse. I'm just saying I miss, like, having to get up off your couch, go out into the streets if you wanted people to know who you were.
Sure.
No,
Yeah.
real talk. There used to be a vetting, and that's real.
Yeah.
Like that's a fair
That's
thing.
real.
That's
Yeah.
that's a fair thing.
Yeah, but I
agree.
mean, but I was saying, like, things change. So
Yeah.
like, it's not. I'm not saying it's better or it's worse. It's just different. But like that idea of like oftentimes rappers will compare it to like being like samurai or Ronin, and like for a large extent, it was true. Like you had to like go out there and kind of like find a bunch of motherfuckers that you did not know who were rapping and jump in. And like, you know, at the end of the day, it was like you was either known as being whack or not.
Yeah.
And if you was whack, you had to come back and try again.
Yeah.
Right.
That's real.
Or quit.
Right,
Or quit.
right. But nowadays, I've seen people, because I've hosted shows. I've seen people come and be disillusioned by like not being accepted immediately.
Sure.
They'll rap and like people won't think they're dope, and then they'll just never come back. And then they'll go to their house, record a bunch of songs, put it on the internet, and people will be like, "Oh, this is amazing! This is great!"
right,
And that's just how they do their music now. That's just how they exist.
Mediocrity is more relatable than ever, though.
Oh yeah,
Listen.
because of the amount of
Listen.
So
the quantity.
no, I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
I relate strongly to what you're saying, and I found that because there's not the same vetting, because it's so easy to access everybody.
Yeah.
There's this kind of parallel reality where if you just want to do it bad enough, even if you never get good at it,
Right.
there'll be other people who can relate to your mediocrity.
Right.
And now the arts and humanities are really expensive to study, so it's a luxury item.
Yeah.
And so people who purchase luxury items, they pay for college in one check now.
Yeah.
That's $300,000, room and board, da 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 da. And so those kind of people, they call it 13th grade babysitting.
Wow.
Okay, and so those parents are like, yo, I just don't want my kid to end up as a meth head. So go to NYU for 4 years, take creative writing.
Right.
Here's GarageBand, here's Reason, Pro Tools, blah blah blah, blah. And
Be something.
yeah, just do something other than stay
Yeah.
at home, because I know
Yeah.
how that's gonna go.
And then also, because like there's so much of it. There's so much music. There's so much rap. There's so much like everything that it's hard for people to recognize exceptional stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many like TV shows and movies to watch. You've got Netflix, you've got Hulu, you've got DC, who's got their own thing. That like if something is mildly good, you're like, oh, this is great, right?
Well, you know what, too? I think to Jason's point, though, I think we're in this age now where it's a plus and a minus, where it's like now it's possible for everyone to do something, so you literally can find the most specific thing for you, and it's more accessible than ever to your, like, you had to know West Fourth, you had
Right.
to know
Yeah, right.
Washington Square Park,
Right,
you had
right,
to know
right.
Tompkins Square Park. If you didn't know those spaces, then you just weren't invited. I'm sure there's places where you had to shed as a
Absolutely.
musician
Right.
that
Absolutely.
everybody
Yeah.
didn't know about. Like, that was how you got ushered in. I know for me, it was like coming from Jersey. It's so
Right.
it's so funny. You're because I remember like coming from New Jersey and being a rapper, and this is what's funny to me. Like, and I can say this on air because I'm not now. I was whack.
Okay.
Like, I was whack.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I love the music,
yeah.
and I wanted to do it. And I thought I was good until I actually
Until you
went
jumped
around some
somewhere
people.
that was,
Yeah.
that was, that was
Yeah,
good.
right,
It's like,
right.
oh, I need to go do some stuff.
Right.
But that's the thing. The people you're talking about that show up, get disillusioned, and don't come back. For me, I loved it so much.
You
that
had
it-
no other choice.
Well, it didn't deter me. It's like, okay,
So you kept
I know
at
what
it.
I got.
Yeah,
I know what I
yeah.
got to
but
do.
you had no choice too, because it was either like don't do it or go back there.
Oh no, true. That's
Right.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
there is no internet to
I
run
couldn't
back to.
put up a website and be like, get on Bandcamp and be
Right,
ready to
exactly.
rock and roll.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
there
Right.
are plenty of rappers.
I feel unfortunately like this. I mean, I think obviously there's people that have some amazing talent, but if you really love that particular thing, if we're talking about music or art, if you put the work in, you can get
Of
to a
course.
level above mediocrity. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
there's going to be people with talent and work that are always going to kind of be the penultimate.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing about the love of it, right? It's like you put the work in, you're going to get to a point where you're not mediocre. It's almost like mediocrity is almost like, to a certain degree, akin to laziness. Like, you actually just don't want to actually.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
but when you have a whole generation of people for whom money is not a necessity anymore,
Right.
they grew up and it was already there,
Right, right,
so they don't have to do anything.
right.
And I also think like it's because so in situations like that where you had to like go someplace, right? Like you would find yourself because there wasn't a lot of places, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you would see different strata of like talent, right? But you would also witness like the top of the talent. You would see people who were so good at this thing that you also wanted to do, and that you knew how far away like that was from you. Like, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
for sure.
And you could either like go towards it or like give up, right? What I was saying before is like there's so much art and there's so much mediocrity and quantity
Yeah.
that like people I don't think people even realize how like good or bad they are. Like they just look at like everybody's doing something, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do something and then that's good enough. Like, you know what I'm
The
saying?
emphasis isn't on quality anymore; it's on likes.
But I'm saying I don't think people even
And
know
listens.
what exceptional is.
No, I
Yeah,
hear what
yeah.
you're saying.
You know what I'm
Because
saying?
Yeah.
because there are so many rooms, you think all rooms are equal. You're just
Right.
like, I'm doing this
Oh,
like
yeah.
until you get to
Right.
the
You're
reality.
talking about quality as far as like if I go to an open mic and everybody's whack, like do I know that they're whack? That's what
Right.
you're saying.
But even like what happens is like someone will go to an open mic and like everybody will be whack except this one person who's like amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like somebody feels some sort of way about that and they just stop going back. They stop going to that open mic. Like, you know what I'm saying? They'll just go to another open mic where what they do is accepted.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no like people don't even realize because like Macau said,
Yeah.
When I started going to EO Dub when I was younger, like I was whack, like I wasn't good, and I remember getting on stage and rapping and like not getting the reaction that I wanted, and I got angry about it. I was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go back next week."
Right. I'm gonna get mine.
Right.
I'm getting mine. I'm getting mine.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying like what happens is people don't get the reactions that they want, and then they just
find where they'll get it.
Yeah, they just find it someplace else.
And you can. And this is a problem in the poetry community.
And there's so much of
my
that.
God.
There's so much middle that people don't even know what the top looks like.
Yeah.
Like when you nowadays when you hear somebody who's like exceptional at rapping, it's such a fucking shock. You're like, oh, this person is good.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
this is actual good.
Right.
Yeah.
But back in the day,
Yeah.
like a lot of like the hip hop shows you used to go to was only the good people.
Only
the good people got booked.
Exactly.
Only the good people got the
Exactly.
shows.
So
Exactly.
to slightly get off the topic, keep on topic,
Right.
and keep it moving. I'll say this.
That's
So
what I was
the
about
things
to
that I miss, the Lower East Side, Williamsburg before Billiesburg. In general, spaces that I used to go to and love so much that had everything you're talking about. One of the places that in rap, and is no longer there, used to be on the pier every summer, the Rocksteady reunion.
Yeah.
And that was the arena because the ciphers there had Wordsworth, had Gaston and Wise Guy. It had the cats that were coming in that were performing. So you could be on the floor and you'd be like with Choclair. You would be with, Three Kings. They were there.
And that's the crazy thing about
And you
it.
couldn't get in the cipher. You could watch.
Right. Yeah.
You could watch. But if you weren't dope within 4 bars,
It was over
you
for
were
you.
getting talked over and dissed.
Yeah.
And that was like, but that were the rules. You
Yeah.
knew that when you showed up.
Right.
So you didn't go into that cipher like
And look who-
I better have fire bars and they
Yeah,
better
yeah.
be fire
And look,
before. Like they better be ready because if not, it's a wrap.
But also look who you rapping with. Like,
Absolutely. But to your point, it's like there was no doubting you were in the penthouse suite.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you had to have the gold card because if you showed up, if you snuck through the elevator, you're not supposed to be
Like
here.
who you
We're gonna
Right,
escort
right,
you
Who
to
you
the
here
back.
with?
Right, right.
Who you know?
But it was funny because I remember I would see cats that they didn't realize that they were in the wrong elevator and they got dissed. But I saw other cats that no one knew, and then all of a sudden everybody knows who they are. It's like,
Right.
who the fuck? He's
Yeah.
Bodies it.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
And you and that's that was like understood.
And that's the-
understood.
And also that was the only way you could do it, right? You
Right.
couldn't hire a photographer and have dope visuals. you couldn't get a graphic designer and have a I mean, no, like I said,
No, that's real.
It's
That's
not
real.
better or worse. Things are just
It is-
different.
No, that's real.
Right.
It is worse.
Quality, the
yeah, that's where
the
it is worse.
definition, the
I mean-
definition of good changed. The definition of good changed to is your package good, not is your talent good. Like everyone
Right.
wants to be a pop star. There are very few people who are more looking for something inspiring or being inspiring and being authentic.
Right, and it's more
That's
impressive.
different.
It's more impressive to have the package than it is to be good at the thing, right? Like if you met 2 artists and one artist was like super good at what they did, right, but had no internet presence, had
Right.
no
They're
internet,
not getting-
had no
they're not
internet
getting
know-how, didn't know fucking an Instagram post from a Twitter post or whatever. Then you met this other artist who was mediocre at the thing, but had the package set up. Like
Yeah.
this seems more attractive nowadays.
Yeah,
right. It's
and
like
those are the people who are getting more money or getting like
Right.
booked to,
Yeah.
whatever.
I don't
but,
think that way is sustainable, but I hear you.
yes,
I mean, right. I mean, it isn't depending on like what you get to, because talent is always going to be talent. Like, that's the thing about mediocrity and like genius or like mastery. It's like when you come across genius or mastery, there's no question about it.
and it's inspiring, and that takes
It
us to
can
our
be.
next video
Can-
from
yeah.
Varsha Kalyani with Stars.
A monologue. Stars. Stars are not just hidden in the sky. They are also hidden in the notebooks of children, in the ink of a teacher's pen, in the room ceilings, in the fast fleeting aircraft. Try tracing them and they die. Shooting stars fall from an obscure height, but in whose lap do they end up? In whose window do they sneak? Do they take refuge in shoes? Who cares if there's some stardust beneath their shoes? All they care for is stardom. What if an artist also wants some of it? Might they get a bit or a bite of it? for sketching creatures from another world, for seamless dancing, for creating new notes and sounds, for writing acoustics and images, for camera angles and aesthetics, for abound expressions free of plagiarism, for the spirit of new creations? Or would you like all of this be hidden forever in the form of scribbles on the last pages of notebooks? In the mirror where one prepares to speak behind closed doors inside closed rooms? Hidden in the suppressed voice hiding behind the sore throat? Hidden in the lapse of flights in an artist's mind? One night, I started doodling on my skin and dropped the book that I was reading at 2 a.m. It was as surreal as stargazing to see the sky and crescent moon on my skin. I don't know what happened to the book. Sometimes while watching pornographic films, I find paintings on the wall, partly captured in camera angles, so appealing that I pause it and start sketching the painting. Call it plagiarism. But pornography could lead to some live portraits. And when I peep outside the window behind the actors, capturing the weather, temperature, and air, pornography could lead to some poems. Can porn stars be classified as stars then? I know I'm deviating a little, but you have already known my height of distraction. I am someone who would pause a pornographic film for sketching.
All right, that was Varsha Kalyani talking about some inspiration she got from an interesting place. She was watching porn one day and was like, that background is fire. I'm going to sketch that. And and I thought that was very... I related that because I get a lot of inspiration when I'm in the bathroom doing whatever. Usually when I'm in the shower, I'll start singing a song. They're usually funny. Mikhail's always laughing at me when I get out of the shower. It's like, you really need to start recording some of this stuff. But what is some of the most interesting places you've gotten inspiration?
Subway rides.
Subway rides?
I write my best songs on subway trains, and it's really scary. I literally wrote half of my last album. We would literally sit in the studio, work on a track, me and my boy, shout out to ZQ, and I might start, but I wouldn't finish.
Mm-hmm.
And when the beat, it was crazy. We went through a whole list of beats, but in particular, Midnight Sun, Drive, and Get Away. I literally, from the time I got on the train to the time I got back to my side of Brooklyn, like I wrote, and it was just like the most pristine thing. I think I would say like my top 5 favorite songs, all of them were not written in the studio, were not written in my apartment. They were literally written on subway rides, subway or some type of like transportation where I'm like just kind of like there's nothing I can do. I'm stuck here. I'm moving somewhere, but you know I don't really have control of it, and I don't know the science or the magic behind it, but it just is. That's been like the place. And it's weird too, knowing that there have been times when I thought, you know what, I'm a little black. I should just get on the train, and I feel like that breaks the magic. Like I have to, it has to be.
Didn't
in the
your
process.
dad, when you were a baby, your dad used to drive you around the neighborhood to get you to go to sleep?
Yep, used to feed me green grapes and put me in a baby seat. It's my favorite fruit. If I was colicky or annoying or needed to go to sleep, with a little thing of green grapes, pop a couple in my mouth, take a drive, put on some music,
and it's still working. It still like gets you there.
That's the classic parenting thing.
Yeah.
Go for a drive because the vibration. You know, that's why they say they'll put the kids on the washing machine.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing.
Oh wow, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's
a classic.
Yeah, I've never heard the washing
I'm
machine.
taking
That's
notes.
what- are we gonna have our own
we
washing
don't got a washing
machine?
machine. Right. We'll work that out.
Yeah. What about y'all? Jason, do you ever have inspiration?
But I'm starting with a caveat because I don't always consider myself an artist. Like I'm a musician, but I think of it very much as a vocation.
Okay.
So I often function without inspiration
Okay.
because when I show up, it's just got to get done.
Yeah.
Later for how I feel, you know. Or
Yeah.
if they call me they need what I can do, so I just got to do it.
Yeah.
And I got the rest of life to think about.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, like when I'm on planes, I read a lot and I write in a journal, and I listen to music, but I don't have a very diverse diet. My teachers always said, when you're trying to learn stuff, you can't have rabbit ears. You can't be listening to a million different things. So I was always resistant to the level of saturation that social media creates.
Oh, yeah.
Even now. I mean, I have a little. This is my phone.
Oh, wow. That's
Oh.
dope as shit.
It looks like a calculator.
It
I
looks
was
like a
going to
calculator.
say the
It
same
just makes phone
thing.
calls though. That's it.
Yeah.
So I wish it played music, but I don't even listen to music as much as you might imagine.
No, that
I
makes
listen
sense.
to music, but for me, the inspiration comes when there's a task kind of in front of me, and then I have sort of, because we all like music, and even if we like the same music, we listen to it, we like it in different orders,
Yeah.
and in different ways.
Yeah.
So for me, your order is that's your holy book. Like your record collection, your CDs, your however you consume. That's why I don't stream music, because I can't have it. I got to have it and listen to it in the orders. Like why we used to make mixtapes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
your mix, that's you. That's you.
Right.
So for me, I'll even go back to the same stuff, and because of what I'm reading, if it's Naeem Akbar or Marimba Ani or somebody, and then I'll listen to the same thing, but I'll hear something else, and then that might provoke me to do something, different than I might otherwise do. So yeah, reading though, and I think of like I'm always into like building like Legos, and when I was a kid it was Connects and there was a Erector set and all that,
Yeah.
and so I think of it in more like structures. So I'm like, if I take this shape and put it next to this shape, it'll make that. And if I take that whole thing and put it next to this, on top of that, and that'll be a thing. And then,
Yeah.
more like that.
That's very interesting. It's funny that you said you get inspiration when there's a task in front of you, because that's where, other than the bathroom, that's where I get a lot of my inspiration. I can, like, when I'm at workshops, if I'm at a meeting and the end of the meeting with teaching artists, they always want you to create some kind of art. And they're like, you can make some kind of art that pays tribute to a part of your body. And then I'll write this in the last minute of
Got
the
it.
10 minutes they've given us. I'll write this great poem. But it's like, I need a time limit. I need
Yeah. You need the parameters.
Yeah, because my mind is always racing with stuff, and sometimes it gets just like a big fog.
Sure,
And it's like I can't
sure.
just write the way I did when I was young, where I would just sit in my room and just write songs. I have like
Sitting up
100
in
songs
my
that I wrote when I was like a teenager,
Hmm.
but I haven't written to that volume as an adult because
Since,
you're
yeah.
always doing stuff.
Doing stuff, right?
So yeah, it's interesting when you're down to the wire. What about you, Mr.
To the
Wordsworth?
wire. Definitely reading, without a shadow of a doubt, and kind of everywhere when I'm paying attention. You know what I'm saying? I find if I'm like paying attention, everything can be inspiring. But to much to your point, I find myself paying attention less because of my phone. So that's something that I need to get out of. I get less inspiration from my phone. My phone is a thief of inspiration. But it's also where I write the raps. So it's a
Conundrum.
It's a double-edged sword. Paradox.
You can always put it on airplane mode.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I could also always take it off of airplane mode.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
Go back to notebooks, dog.
Yo, I want to
Yeah.
go back to my BlackBerry. That was the most bad inspiration.
You know what? If I still had a BlackBerry, I would still have a BlackBerry.
They
Yeah,
started
man.
making
Like-
phones
Yeah,
again.
that was my
They-
favorite
they-
phone.
yeah, they
Yo,
have-
mine
they have a
too.
new-
Yeah,
They have
Yeah.
a new one. And,
I might have to do that for my next phone.
Something about just
'Cause I had
feeling
a
the
BlackBerry.
buttons.
I like
I think so,
Android.
Yeah,
I-
yeah.
There was something about just feeling the buttons when I
Yeah.
was typing. I fucking
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I write in my phone, but I also have my notebook, and I realize even though the only reason why I started doing things digitally because I realized like my brain operated quicker than my hand, so
Yeah.
typing was better.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized the process, and it's funny because I was teaching this past Saturday. I work with young people up in Brewster, New York,
Okay.
doing like a hip hop workshop, writing workshop, and the young man was getting frustrated, and I get this all the time with teenagers because the one thing that's the hardest thing to teach, especially young writers, is the idea of revision. Everything's got to be so funny
Perfect
about
the
this whole
first time.
mediocrity conversation we're having because it's like for them, the first thing out their mouth
Gotta-
is the greatest thing ever,
Yeah.
and if they feel it's not, it's trash to them. But they
Yeah.
don't realize like, wait, there's
I
pieces.
still go through
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, yeah,
pieces
yeah.
here. Wait, let's.
Yeah,
You just
stick
have to
with it. Just keep
switch
pushing
this
through.
or fix that, or like, okay, this whole section here, yeah, but this part right here, just expand
right
Just
on that.
polish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't do that on my phone, but with my notebook. So I showed in my notebook,
You can't do it on your phone.
like yes, you
Yeah,
can do
the
edit, but
it-
it just doesn't.
to me-
Yeah, visually, if you're a visual person, you need to see it,
and
you
I need to see the scribbles out.
evolution.
Like,
yeah,
when you see my rhyme book, it's literally like I have whole sentences that are on top of sentences because I'm like squeezing words in or
Yeah.
cutting
Yo,
words
but
out.
to
But
me,
that
it's
whole
this-
process helps me actually like build the rhyme better.
To me, it's the same, but the digital helps me do that because, like, I just start like moving shit around, like literally just moving it around.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Where it's
Yeah.
like with the book, like there's going to be a point where I'm going to run out of space. Like, you know what I'm saying? Where at the rhyme book, I mean, on digital, there's no space to run out of.
For
Yeah.
me, that
Delete, delete,
that
delete.
forces the edit though. Like
What do you
when
mean?
you know
Right.
you're gonna hit a wall.
Right.
Even
right,
if
right.
it just means you gotta go get another one.
It's the parameters
Yeah.
again.
It's the parameters,
Yeah.
and I find that if you ever heard that the phrase "spelling is a spell,"
No.
Oh, whoa.
so when you write it down,
yep,
cast a
yep,
spell.
yep.
Oh yeah,
fucks with
I've
that
never
heavy.
heard that. I've never heard that phrase, but
But, I
I've
mean-
definitely said that before.
And everybody always talks about
Friends
like
have said
writing
it to
out your
me.
goals and writing
Yeah,
out
yeah,
your
yeah, but
yeah,
that's
that
it's
it
the
crea-
same-
it's,
yeah, it's
it's
the same
basically
concept.
yeah.
casting
Yeah.
a spell.
Right,
yeah.
right, right,
It's
right.
putting it
No,
into
you're
air,
you're
speaking it
absolutely
into
right.
existence.
But
Absolutely right.
That's for me.
I fucks with that heavy.
I didn't realize how heavy that was until I started doing it, and realized that even like once I did it, it was out there.
right,
So even if I could forget about it,
right. But
and-
You've already
but
put
it
in the
exists.
when it
universe,
came back,
yeah.
it was like
right.
Yeah.
that you did that.
It exists without you.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Also, this is something different. This is just, but also like I tell Amber this all the time. Like if you ask for something in the universe, when it comes to you, you can't deny it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
There's mad times where like my girlfriend, she'll be like asking for money. She's like, I need more money or whatever. I'm like, well, remember you said that, and then an opportunity will come, and it might not be the opportunity you want. Like, you know what I'm saying? It might not be the
So you make
easy.
a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or it might not be even a lot of money. It might just somebody be like, hey, you free Thursday to work this job?
Yeah.
And you like, oh man, I have plans Thursdays. Like, remember when you asked the universe?
Yeah.
Be
This,
very specific.
this is it. This is
Yeah.
it.
Be very specific. Yeah.
true.
No, it's real. That for me that and again, it's something I have to remind me. It's some of the things you're talking about, brother. I'm realizing like there's certain habits that I used to have that I need to get back to because I realized when I've been in the studio for a project I'm doing with a producer. And I've gotten back to that process where, like, I sit down, I don't have the phone, I don't have a computer in front of me. It's me and the book, and we're literally just building the song right there. And there's time, too, because we're in the studio, so we can't be there all night. So it's literally getting me back to, like, okay, so, like, really kind of, like, root into what I'm saying, what I'm
Right.
trying to do. Okay, really root into, like, what are these patterns I'm doing, and seeing that and physically
Sure,
it's
sure.
a different process for me than if I'm on my phone, which literally was just a shortcut. And
Yeah.
I still do use it because sometimes it necessitates that. But I realized the process for me, it's stronger when I'm like, okay, I got a pen.
Right.
I don't even have a pencil. Like, I can't even erase. Like, no, I got to scratch this out. So when I was showing the young person on a Saturday, I was doing that because he was getting really frustrated with that. He was just like,
Right.
oh, it's not working. He literally would just take the whole thing he wrote and he would just turn the page over. And I'm like, well, let me look at that.
You're not-
I'm like, wait.
Not gonna use any of this.
I'm like, that's
Yeah.
that. Wait, just go move this, move that. Let's work on this part. And I was like, okay, listen, let me show you what I do. And I had him flip through my rhyme book for a minute. And he's like, it looked like a crazy person written. I'm like,
Right.
it's all just, I got the second verse on the other side of the page, or the first verse on the other
Yep.
side of the page. So
Yeah.
like the second verse is first. I have to flip the page right to left, read the first verse, and flip it back
Yeah, right,
over.
right,
all
right,
types
right.
of stuff. I'll switch orders and stuff.
Right.
The chorus is at the top, but I'm not saying the chorus at the top. I'm saying the chorus only in the middle. So I got to look up. Like, it's crazy when I have to actually record.
Yeah.
But that actually, that whole process
Sure.
makes the whole thing for me stronger.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know, going to song order, we can go into our next video with Lex Rush because she starts with a written and then starts freestyling.
Hey.
So there's Lex Rush.
Shout out to
to
Lex
get
Rush.
started.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. The poet just keep your head nodded. With the rough pattern around the noggin. The poet just keep your head noggin. We always joke with the target. The poet just keep your head nodded. Freestyle flows is a bargain. show of the year? TV show, anybody? What'd you say? Grey's Anatomy. That was this year. Whatever, Grey's Anatomy, let's do it. So we got Grey's Anatomy, we got Deadpool 2, and we got KOD. Yeah. Listen, it's an emergency room casualty. Take it in Seattle with the Grey's Anatomy, yo. Exploring your body, you know it's a party. When you can't be addicted, KOD to that Bacardi. J. Cole, yo, was talking about addiction afflicted across the United States. That's a sickness, yo. He need rehab for, and I'm spitting it like black on the roots, you're so hardcore. Listen, dog, you talking that shit, that superhero shit is too cool. I be diving into Deadpool 2, with Ryan Reynolds. Understand I'm taking you to the square, sorta like it's Harold, sorta in my zone. I'm on microphone when I'm rapping and you can't get on, yo, it's all the way to room, don't test me with someone good looking like Patrick Dempsey. Let's see, listen, dog, because Grey's Anatomy was seen in that reruns, let's get a buzz, it's important. Some people say J. Cole's material is boring, but I think it's interesting and introspective. The collection always comes through, yo, in your dreams like Inception, you gotta get it, and the band always repping, we got the topic, we can't stop it, every time we spit it, it's so monstrous, yeah, we gotta love it, over what we televised, rise above it, I tell them all it's all the time, let it all get raise your hand and we coming fresh off the harvest, yeah, thanks everybody, they kill it.
All right, so that was Lex Rush with Get It Started. And I forget exactly the line that made me think of this that Lex is talking about. Maybe it's the beginning of 2019 and she's talking about getting everything started. So looking back at 2018 and
The rough year,
but
right?
that's
Right.
as far as
Everybody
like
I know.
in pop culture and politically, what do you think the pinnacle was? The high point.
Kanye West. No.
Wait.
It's
Yeah,
the
pinnacle, high point.
The high point.
I think of positivity. So you mean like
Yes.
the most positive thing in 2018?
Yeah.
That it ended? No.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
We got engaged in 2017.
Yes, we did.
So I can't use that because that would have been my easy go-to right there. Damn.
Was there anything good that y'all remember from
Osiris Anthem winning the freaking world finals for the second time in a row at the EOW in
with
Paris.
a machete?
It sounds
No,
like
that-
that brother literally
Sorry.
changed
No,
the
he
whole
didn't.
format again.
Yeah, it sounds like he did.
Yes and no. This is something that like I've kind of always direction I always going in the more theatrical is always the direction I wanted to head
But
into.
he executed that to perfection.
Yeah.
Well, almost. I don't want it to be as time consuming as like the way he did it, but I would like I wanted it to be a show that more displays people's genius, like whatever that might be, like, you know, and the fact that he did it the way he did is kind of definitely like, yes, something like that. Not exactly that, but something like that. If you don't know, I host this competition. It's called End of the Week.
Okay. End of the week.
End of the
I got it. Okay,
Right.
got it.
End of the Week, WEAK. We have an event called the MC Challenge. It's 5 rounds. It's a written round, an acapella round, a freestyle grab bag round, beat juggling round, and a cipher skills round. And MCs compete to see, you know, they get graded each round, Olympic style. And his brother Osiris Anthem has won the New York version of this 2 years in a row, and then we have an international version, and he's won that 2 years in a row too. This year at the New York finals, he recreated a whole almost like a stage play surrounded around the Haitian Revolution, and then went into like his song on the Haitian Revolution.
Beautiful.
And it was impactful. It was dope.
Beautiful.
It was
Yeah.
and what it is like, so he comes from like a theater background and he comes from a poetry background, and he like uses these things in his performances to kind of like edge his, like, on top of the fact that he's a phenomenal MC and freestyler. And like, so EOW was End of the Week was put together to kind of like help MCs improve at the art of MCing, the craft of MCing. And it's like, I want people to see stuff like that and realize what they can do. Like, you know, there was another brother by the name of Sir Nate, when he did his his written round. At the end of it, he pulled out a harmonica and started playing that, like, you know. And it's like, yo, that's a skill you have. You play the harmonica. Like, why wouldn't you use that inside of your performances? Like, you know, and then like, you know, some brothers or sisters can sing, like, you know, so like, why wouldn't you do that during like what you do? Some people, like, you know, like dig deep in yourself and find out whatever it is that makes you like dope, and do that shit.
Use all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Your entire toolbox.
But even the theater stuff, which was amazing. I mean, another thing he did in one of the rounds was Homie literally did part of his rap in sign language and then explained in the rap what the sign language was. And you didn't know what he was doing because he just starts doing.
Right.
If you don't know ASL, if you don't know ASL, you just think he's just doing whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, this dude, and mind you, he's not someone that, to my knowledge, that works with the deaf.
Yeah. So he learned sign
basically,
language just for
Homie
this
figured out like,
competition.
okay, I'm gonna rap in sign language, which is actually a thing. There actually are poets and rappers that do that.
Yeah.
That are deaf. And then and I'm like, just the creativity of that.
course.
You're
Right.
like, and he could rap. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
Oh, those could be real gimmicks if he wasn't dope already. But
Right.
he's nasty.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
like you're nasty and you have an imagination. Oh, it's not.
And
it's not
So
fair.
if,
It's not
if
fair.
if y'all can't think of anything in pop culture that was great about
Oh, sorry.
2008,
Yeah, you know, we didn't even answer the question.
Yeah. That's how
What?
trash
That's how-
2018 was,
That's
y'all.
how- that's how dope that-
what was
2018
your
was
favorite
trash.
album that came out of any genre?
In 2018,
Oh yeah. Oh, that's easy.
Which
What?
one?
A Better Tomorrow, Fonte. That
haven't heard it
album. That album. Well, speaking as a 41-year-old man, that was some grown man. Like I related to everything on that record, and the vulnerability of, once again, another brother who's really dope at what he does. Like he can rap. Like he's dope at rapping, but the vulnerability to talk about the relationship with his father, to a relationship with his son, to the love, the greatest love song of "Sweeter Than You." If you have not heard "Sweeter Than You,"
Fonte?
it is probably one of the top 3 hip hop love songs in the pantheon. Just
That's-
from the appreciation of his wife and the fact that he had been married before, and he was like, "Yeah, I got it wrong the first time, but I know I got it right this time." And that though there's so many topics on that I personally have gone through that I related to so much.
Yeah.
I wish I had written the damn album. I was pissed. I was
I
like,
hear you. I hear you.
I
Yeah.
love it when that happens. When you hear a
Yeah.
song, you're just
No.
like,
Why didn't
damn.
he has a,
I need to
I'm
write
gonna
this.
leave it like this. He had a line in it, and it's the simplicity of it is why it is genius. In Sweeter Than You, he goes, the first time around, it's all about the baggage. The second time around is all about the baggage claim. And when you think about that, when you think about the growth and maturity you go as a human being, when you got all of this stuff, you're trying to deal with things or not deal with things, but you got your traumas, you got your issues, and you bring that into the relationship, but you don't know really how to, like, you're just carrying it.
Right.
But when
Hoping
you-
somebody else will lift it for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Or excuse it. But when you get to that point when you're with someone and you're like, I'm going to own my shit. And when you have someone that owns their shit at the same time, then it's like, yeah, because we're not perfect. Humans aren't.
No.
So some of that stuff is who you are. But if you're like, oh, you know what? That's me. I'm going to
I'm gonna claim it. This is my
phase that
bag.
out
Yeah.
or whatever.
This is my
like-
bag right here.
Or not
Yeah.
put that on the other person. So
No.
for him to talk about that, and those are the types of things where, for me, I feel like art, whether it's music, poetry, theater, whatever, that speaking to the human experience like in a real way with some skill and not be dry. That's and that record is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, one thing I'll say, I hear reparations getting talked about again,
Oh yeah.
and I think that's outstanding.
So we went to my home where I grew up in South Carolina. I had a cousin, my mom's cousin
South
from Mississippi,
Carolina.
was in town, and he was talking to us, and he told us a lot of families from the plantation we came from did receive reparations. And then the Klan, once it was created,
Yeah.
came and took them.
Took 'em back.
But the land was still in the black people's name.
Yeah.
So now black people in Mississippi are starting to sue for their
Yeah.
their family
Yeah.
land.
Well-
And I thought that was amazing.
That's
Like they even realized the land was
you
still
know that's how
legally theirs.
that's basically what happened with Black Wall Street,
Really?
Tulsa.
domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the only
yeah.
function of the Ku Klux Klan is domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
I
Like,
forget the
yeah.
there was a similar town in Atlanta was the same thing. I
Yeah,
forget,
yeah,
I
oh,
forget,
yeah,
I forget, I
absolutely.
forget the name of it, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
the
similar
exact,
kind of thing, yeah.
exact same thing.
Yeah.
Basically, the affluent black people were actually doing better than the poor whites,
Yep.
and they
Yeah.
literally went uptown
And just burned it all
and
down.
just trashed
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Same thing in Florida.
Yeah,
Rosewood.
Rosewood.
Same.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so for me, 2018. I've heard reparations talked about in ways that I haven't heard as an adult before. So I will say that is definitely a high point.
That's
You know.
that's dope.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's for me that's what frames the Black American experience.
Yeah.
Like daddy issues. That's
Yeah, all of it. All of it. You
all
can
of that
find
is,
traces of that in slavery.
I mean,
yeah.
there's the book, The Color of Law. There's the half has not been told. The I mean, like all of the literature that came out at the end of 2017 and then 18 that deals with that has made it a subject where people have to seriously start to deal with the fact that, like, okay, so almost nobody Black American is going to pay for college. Not because we didn't go, because none of us have between $30,000 and $300,000.
right,
And the reason we don't have it is because our mama and daddy didn't have it,
right,
And their
And
parents
and
didn't
their
have it.
parents sure didn't have it.
right.
And if they did, they took it from him and burned it down.
And-
Yeah.
Exactly. So you got a whole generation of adults that
damn near two.
Yeah.
right. But I'm saying,
Yeah.
2018,
Yeah.
you got generations of adults where, like, wait, who, like, nobody pays off college. Like, you don't even
Yeah.
live long enough to do that. Even if all of that
Very
debt
few
forgiveness
people,
and other, yeah. I mean, that,
Yeah.
so
It's a house.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
As soon as you
yeah,
get
yeah.
rid of your college debt, if you do, you just buy a house and you have your car.
More debt.
And it's just more debt. It just replaces the debt you just got rid of. So it's like it's never ending.
Yeah, I mean, the
if
average-
you're doing all of it at the same time, it's
Right.
impossible.
Newsflash
Yeah.
by design.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
Works
so-
exactly
yeah.
how it's supposed to.
Yeah. They mean it just like that.
Working well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
right. So that for me is a high point in 18.
Cool.
Yeah. What you got?
So what was the lowest point?
Donald Trump being president.
I mean, but that's
The
been
whole
running.
2000.
That's
I
technically
mean,
17 though. That's
it
technically
was,
17.
Nah, but it was like it was a low. 2018. It was just like a freaking anchor at the bottom, dragging the whole year down all the way.
I'll give you two specific points from him that I would consider low points.
When he woke up.
True. Basically us attacking asylum seekers on our border, and the reality that he's so much of a baby that he shut down
Yeah.
the government so that he could get this imaginary wall. That apparently he really said he wanted to be invisible. I thought that was a
Yeah,
joke.
I mean-
He actually
His metaphoric wall? Or he wanted to...
the wall around. Someone had told me that he had said the wall was invisible, or he wanted it to be invisible, and I was like, "Stop playing." I know he's dumb, but he didn't say that. He couldn't have said that. And
He said the word invisible, or he said transparent.
no, invisible. Well, yeah.
Like-
I guess
like Wonder-
maybe it was transparent.
like Wonder
but
Woman's jet.
I think he actually said invisible.
I think he
yeah.
said invisible, but he wanted it so you could not see it. And
Like-
I'm like, bro,
Sir, do you mean invincible? Like, no, invisible.
Invisible.
Bro.
Yeah.
yeah. So
You mean indivisible?
Yeah, so those
Like, no.
are probably the two low points.
points.
Like, yeah, I mean, watching unarmed people that are coming from villages and cities that are rife with drug cartels that basically run them,
Also engineered.
engineered, right? Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
And literally families traveling. We're not talking about whatever you want to imagine. And the fact that the entire country or the majority of the country painted them as just like rebel rousing, freeloading people that just wanted to take all of our riches. Like, no.
They
There's
took
something in the
control.
United Nations Charter that we're all about called asylum, and you have to actually abide by that. That's what that was. They were seeking asylum, and I don't think I heard that term used really at all, if not enough. Definitely wasn't in the modern media, but what was disappointing was the fact that in common conversation, people had kind of ingested this idea that somehow these people were illegal. It's like, no, America, they're asylum seekers. Read about it. It's an actual thing. It is a
Yeah.
political and
Yeah.
legal definition standard, and so that society functions,
Right.
we actually have methods to deal with that. And you let this idiot create a thing where that didn't happen. So that was definitely a point. America once again being the leaders of freedom. Once again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a low point for me was seeing social media sort of normalize physical and mental illness in a way that I hadn't seen before. Full disclosure, I live kind of under a rock.
Okay.
That's kind of my expression for the, because I it's not that I went off the grid, but I kind of stopped watching TV about 20 years ago.
Okay.
And so how much I consume is very much less than
Yeah.
a lot, a lot of folks. And so I'll just come out and see what's up and, oh, what is that? Oh, okay. Wow, okay. And that does this over here. Okay, cool. And I just, now that I see like how many people are on pills, how many people are like, don't even realize that there's a generation of people with a curvature in their spine because of their phone.
Yeah.
There are people with anxiety just because of the amount of blue light they're exposed to.
Yep.
That got normalized, I feel like, in 2018.
But also, I think a lot of people don't know about like that, and like oftentimes people look at things that happen to them kind of like acts of like sporadic coincidence, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
people be like, man, I have a headache, and not really think, why do I have a headache? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
is it something I
Yeah.
ate, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Something I ate, something I
Right.
didn't eat.
So they'll be like,
That-
oh, I have anxiety, or I'm stressed, and it's like you never really kind of appraise like maybe behaviors that you might have.
Sure.
Yeah.
That because like, let me tell you something. Like 2018 was rough, so it's like me myself. There's days where I don't want to get up and do anything,
Sure.
right? But I find if I do get up and do simple things like exercise, just make sure you go outside like once a day. Completely different experience of life. Like, you
Sure.
know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like something as simple as like exercising, and I don't mean like going to the gym and like pumping iron. I mean like just couple of push-ups, like jog around the neighborhood will change your entire perspective
Agreed.
about a lot of things.
Agreed.
But a lot of people
Yeah.
don't realize that, so they continue to feel shitty, and then they look for the solution to that without ever thinking that the solution could be like in course correction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Was it?
But does our society even promote that?
No.
Like, it
Not at
promotes
all.
just treat the
Healthy
symptom.
people
treat
are not
the symptom.
profitable.
Right.
Yeah.
At all.
It's always reactionary and never prevention focused. Like,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, that information is being spread and disseminated, but not to the degree and not to the saturation that.
It needs to be.
Yeah, because unfortunately, you know.
I mean, yeah, but it's like everything else. It's there if you look for it.
Well, right, and I also think the weird thing about the internet and social media has been is like it's kind of a neutral thing. It's become a negative because of how people. I love this. I don't know if there's any like old school anime people in it. I know you're anime, but like old school anime, there's an anime called Fist of the North Star.
Yeah.
And really quick, there's a supreme being who's super powerful, super strong, and the protagonist has to come back and defeat him. And his name is Rao. And it turns out that they're the yin and yang of nature. And Rao literally says, like, any tool is useful if you know how to use it. And I feel like that's what the internet is. So it's sort of like what we've done is we've created this portal that allows us to have infinite connections and access to all different types of information, and even a way to collectively like communicate. But instead of kind of looking at as a gift, and maybe even ways to sort of like think about what are the effects that could be negative towards us and figure out ways to sort of like guard against that, we've just allowed it just to be a freeload, right?
And it's overgrown now.
And it's overgrown now.
Yeah.
And there's again, it's a lot of back to the conversation earlier. It's like there's like rules and orders and laws that are established, and I don't like to use those words because those I don't want the negative connotations of what those things mean. But process is there so that okay, this thing, it can help you, but if you're not focusing on it or you're not
Yeah.
paying attention to it, it can also kill you.
But someone was supposed to make sure you paid attention to it, and that's the thing. People have been here for millions of years trying to manage this environment. So there are rules and structures and different things kind of that were supposed to be given to you, so that when you got started, you weren't supposed to start where they start. You start where they leave off. They
Right.
give it to you. There was supposed to be somebody to say, "Here, this is what I learned from my time.
Right.
You go
Yeah.
and take it, pass it on, and so forth."
Right.
But I agree that it's just totally, it's just gotten out of hand,
Yeah.
and that's why I just went the other way. I'm like,
Yeah.
somehow, without a smartphone, I haven't missed anything.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you won't. It's a lie to tell you.
Yeah, I know.
It's a lot to
I
tell you.
know. I just
And you
yeah.
can spend so much time on the internet thinking that you're like, it's like what do you call it, a hamster wheel, right?
Yeah.
Like you think you're getting someplace, your follower count goes up, your notifications go up, and like you feel like you're getting someplace, and then you put your phone down and you realize you literally, in the literal sense of the word have gone no
nowhere.
place.
Yeah.
And haven't really done
And it's
anything
not even
either.
the internet per se; it's social media. Because
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
mentioned you said follower and,
Yeah,
and
no,
notifications.
and that's
but I'm
what I
saying
mean.
you're not on the internet researching.
But,
'Cause
Right.
but social media has become like the fast food of the internet, right? It's the place like you log
The
online,
tabloid,
you
yeah.
go there,
Yeah.
you get your fix, you know what I'm saying, and then they have so many of them, so it's like, all right, let me get my Instagram fix, all right, let me get my Facebook fix.
But
all
you
right,
know
let
what,
me
too?
get my,
That's what
uh,
most people think. What you're saying, that social media and internet are synonymous.
right,
and
you're
then,
right,
you're right.
because that's how most people engage with the internet.
Because
Yeah,
20 years
that's
ago
true.
there was no social media.
Yeah.
yeah, like
I mean, there wasn't even MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
God, yeah.
And before that, it was Black Planet. I love bringing up
well,
Black
you know
Planet.
I
and
missed
mi
that.
gente.
Me too. I
Yeah, I didn't.
never hit
Yeah.
that. You know what's funny to me?
I knew it, but I
I
wasn't on
think
it.
that's what I used to love. I used to love the technology so much when I was in college
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I like. Oh my God! Like I can talk to somebody in China, or like now there's all of these books that I can
Yeah,
just
yeah,
access.
yeah,
like,
right,
Yeah,
right.
that's
there's
phenomenal.
all of this information that I can just access like
Sure,
immediately.
sure.
Yeah.
and,
Sure.
and that's still true. That's
Right.
what's crazy. That's still true.
Yeah, I mean the library has always been free too, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you know, like you put the library, but you also put a freaking McDonald's next door to it, and it's like which one's more full, the
Oh,
library
yeah,
or the
there's
McDonald's?
a Taco Bell cantina next to my Crunch.
There's a what now?
Taco Bell cantina.
What is that?
It serves alcohol and they're padded seats, and you can sit down and watch.
Oh,
football
like that
on
Cafe
Sundays.
McDonald's thing?
Yeah,
I guess.
It's like
yeah.
it's like the,
But it's
the
next door-
bougie version.
It's next door to a
They
gym.
even have
Sense.
an open mic night
Wow.
Makes
In Taco
no
Bell.
sense.
in Taco Bell.
What?
How are you upgrading a fast food
I
restaurant?
don't
even
know.
understand
Taco
it.
Bell can never upgrade because their food is still
No,
shit.
no
But-
fast food.
No,
place
but I
would
mean,
upgrade.
McDonald's got a. I remember, like when we was going to Europe, a lot. 04, 05, we'd
Yeah.
go to Western Europe every other month, and their fast food, American fast food chains would look comparatively uppity or European.
Yep.
And then I remember when they redid the McDonald's on 125th Street. I remember walking back from the bookstore with the Liberation flag out front,
Oh,
the Studio Museum in Harlem.
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and right next to that is the McDonald's, and they
Yeah.
made it to look like the one in Paris. And I was like, it's still McDonald's though, right?
And it's still at 125. It's still at 125. Hold on.
right.
So
right.
that's some of the negative things we don't like about the last year. But what are the positive things? What are we looking forward to in 2019?
Everything's possible.
Be more specific.
I'm just looking forward to art.
To
You know?
arting
Yeah,
or art?
I feel like even with the saturation of like so many people doing it, I think there's still like so many amazing people out there if you look and you find them, and I'm kind of excited about I think humankind in itself is in a transitionary period. Everyone I know is going through some kind of crazy transition, and I think something great is going to come out of that, art wise, or even maybe just like intellectual wise.
Word.
I think there's an artistic market correction coming
Yeah,
for real. I think bookstores and record stores. I think all that's going to come back.
bookstores are showing profit for the first time in
Yeah.
Really?
I was super happy
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
train. I think Friday. I was so tired. I kept falling asleep. But once I opened my eyes, and a boy, probably like 19, was sitting across from me, and he was opening a book, and he was like furiously so excited about opening up this book, and I was just like,
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah.
like, there's hope.
"There's hope
Yeah.
for the world."
I still don't have I tried to have an e-reader.
Uh-huh.
I have the app on my phone. I still can't do it. Like I still have to
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
physical.
Yeah.
It's
Like I have
the same.
PDFs of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't. I literally
read
will
them.
take a PDF and I will print it out
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the paper because I can't
Yeah.
sit
Yeah.
there. And I
Have
can't do
Have
it.
you ever tried like an e-ink e-reader?
No.
Because I'll say that I have allowed I have a Nook.
Yeah, I've had a Nook before.
Yeah, and I have an old one, and I didn't realize they had gotten better because I'm like, it's whatever, it's a black and white screen, and I still need a light to read it at night and things like that. But I will say that certain because I read the screens real dim also.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like this light is like, I mean, I'm happy to be here, so I'm managing, but fluorescent lights and backlit, constantly backlit screens and stuff like that is tough for me. So the e-readers, I find the new ones, especially, they're kind of like sepia tone, and they make it a lot easier.
Okay.
And I remember, like, my dad still sends me newspaper clippings, and he can look at that stuff all day, and his writing looks like calligraphy. He sends me envelopes of just newspaper clippings, and I recognize I'm starting to become that with my sons.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, check this out. And he's like, well, what is this? And I'll explain. He'd be like, oh, okay, cool. I said, no, sit down, read it.
Right.
Read it.
Check it out.
Check it. Like, read it. Matter of fact, read it to me.
Yeah.
And so I find e-readers is the one thing that, and because I'll buy the book and still have it on the e-reader. And now that I don't have a smartphone that I carry around with me and I'm always on it and this and that, I'm like, I'm going to get a new e-reader. And I'm excited because I like to listen to music while I read.
Right.
So I'll have that and I'll just be reading. And it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's coming at me. It's just kind of static.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's still like it's on the page.
It's right.
Yeah.
And so I will say e-readers, not on your phone, but on an e-reader where there's no backlight.
Yeah.
I don't know what the technology is called, but it's like you can read it at night, but it doesn't feel illuminated in that same.
It's not a
just
smartphone.
It's just a different type of light. Yeah.
So
Alright, you
e-readers.
What was the question again? Was positive?
Yeah. Well, what are you looking forward to?
Oh, I remember I started.
You started.
He started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one who planted the flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I haven't said anything yet.
Okay.
Marriage.
Hey,
And just similar to Baxter. I mean, like I have some music that I'm putting out this year,
Yeah.
so I'm excited about that. Traveling because we're gonna do some traveling,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like I'm excited about that stuff. I'm always excited about.
You
that.
started at the top though. He said marriage. That's the rest. It's the rest.
Any ideals?
It's the rest
you
of your
hope
lives.
Any ideals you hope come back in style or anything from the past?
I don't want to feel like I'm biting Jason, but like just I want the appreciation, just for art in the process to come back, for the love of it to come back. I think now that I've been doing it for as long as I have, and I'm thinking about because I'm teaching it for the last almost 15 years, just that love of doing it and really feeling that in the majority, not the love of what it will do for you or what it will reflect to you, but literally that just feeling of I have this just need, this incessant urge just to create something, even if no one ever sees it, which is obviously not the reason why you may or may not want to create something. You want to share it, but it seems with everything that's happened with social media and the internet and really I feel like a lot of that drive is because we've now created this world where you can be famous for nothing.
Yeah.
Like you
for
can
sure.
be known for nothing. It used to be, well, the reason why we know your name is because you did X or you stopped X or you're
good
found
at
X.
doing this.
Yeah,
Right. And even just not good, but exceptional.
Right.
Yeah.
Exceptional to the
Yeah,
point of
yeah.
like, this is something that we have to study, something to appreciate, something that we want to keep coming back to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like much of that has been eroded away because you can put a little money in something, boom, or the technology puts a shorthand to things. So then it's like, oh yeah, I can make a beat in 2 seconds. I just take the preset, put this here, then I got a beat. Boom, got it, done. Oh, I can't sing, cool. Just put this little program, put this plug in, fill it out. Guess what? Now we all sound the same. Doesn't really matter if I have a really great voice. I can just put it all in this, and I now have a great voice. But I can't just get up in front of a group of people and sing.
Yeah.
And I don't need to.
And I don't and that's the most important thing. You don't need to. That's actually extra work. You can actually get the same result.
Motherfuckers
with
get
half the work.
Motherfuckers get record deals before they even have stage training, yo.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
signed
It's
to
really sad.
get signed
to
to a
see
label,
that.
then they'll be like, all right, now let's work on your stage show. It's
Yeah.
like,
So that's what I would love to see come back. Just that love
Actually-
and care.
If you look at record labels like Motown, All those kids, like they might have been singing on the corner, but they weren't, they weren't really stage ready.
But before they hit the studio, they hit the road.
But they also had coaches.
What do you mean?
They had to go through
Oh
etiquette
yeah.
classes and dance classes.
Definitely.
They had to.
But that was in school, though.
But
no, like
she's
Motown
talking about
hired them. It was required.
but like
they were all from like the projects. Diana Ross is from the projects.
I
which
know,
were,
but
all of
when
them.
Diane Ross was in school,
She went to like an arts high school.
no.
Or
I'm
art
just
school?
saying. I'm later for like exceptional educational thing. I'm just saying
Yeah.
the world was such that you went to chorus. You sang in
Yeah.
church. You had instruments in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, every
true.
piano,
We
every
don't
house
have
had
that
a
now.
piano and a Victrola in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also think too. I think what Baxter's saying too is like that boot camping happened. So you were in Motown, and you kind of went through sort of like the lower rung gigs and stuff. It wasn't like you were super dope, and then they just
Right.
put you on the amphitheater. Like you did the backwater
Circuit.
this,
Yeah,
the
but
backwater
Before they
that.
spent
and, like,
before they spent the money to cut the record, they
right,
like
you could be recording for years before you ever had like. When you saw Smokey Robinson, it wasn't like Smokey Robinson. That first record was like
They got him off-
found him
they
off
got
the
a
street.
street.
You heard the voice.
Come
and then
on, me,
Smokey
Smokey.
Robinson, he had been writing and recording and basically sort of like on the rookie league
Yeah.
for
Right.
years,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
then he gets dropped. So
Yeah.
I think that process is. I don't want to. But
right, a motherfucker will have a 250,000 followers. A label will be like, "Hey, we'll give you this amount of money to make a record," and then they'll be like, "Hey, you ever performed before?" And he'll be like, "Nope."
honestly, all of
Never
I hate
in
to
my
say
entire
it,
life.
not to go and get on them because I don't want us to take it in that direction. But like all of the current quote unquote mumble rappers, like there was a dope interview with J. Cole and a dude that he was beefing with.
Oh, Little Peep, I think it was.
Yeah, Little Peep or something like that.
No, not Lil Peep, Lil Pump.
Lil Pump.
Yeah.
And
Lil-
what was
But they're
dope-
both they're both
Yeah.
they're both people.
Lil Peep
Well, and-
passed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Lil Peep
And,
passed.
and what I appreciated about it is that one, J. Cole actually came at him like a grown man. He's like, okay, you diss me on the internet. You're doing all this wild stuff like a 17-year-old is supposed to do. You expect it from a
Yeah.
17-year-old. I'm going to sit you down and we're going to have a conversation. And I'm not going to actually do like Joe Buttons and do some sunning of you like literally. I actually want to find out like, well, why do you feel this way? And like, where is this coming from? Because like, we don't actually have real beef.
Yeah.
But what was interesting about it was his conversation revealed how much like basically Lil Pump really is a 17-year-old kid. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he saw something, he knew that he could do it, he has a lot of energy, he has some talent,
Yeah.
and people knew that they could take that and just throw it out. And
I mean, that's what they do. Look at artists nowadays, like the top people who are on magazines, like people who are like in the most visible, have 2-3 year lifespans, 2-3 year careers, and then that's
Yeah.
it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like that's not how art is supposed to be, or how it should be, or even how it used to be.
no.
Like, look at who's on Forbes list now, right? It's like Jay-Z, Nas, Puff. These are people who started like in the
Yeah.
business
80s.
in the
Yeah.
80s and the 90s,
Yeah,
like, you know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
And it's like we're in a place now where I feel like the older, more affluent and kind of successful people are more concerned with how the money's being managed for the people coming in, but the people who are in charge of that is still the same greedy people that's always been
Yeah.
there before.
Yeah.
So it's like, and
Or
there-
they were taught by
and there's
the
always going to be somebody who's going to take the check. That's
Yeah.
the biggest problem. It's like even when people stand on their morals, even when people say, "Hey, listen, we can do better if like we turn this down." There's always going to be somebody to take the check.
Because everybody's poor.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
And this is
but there-
America and capitalism.
I mean,
is
that's
king.
what I'm just saying. It's like, man, if you can choose between eating and not eating,
But if somebody tells you like, "Hey, if we don't eat now, we'll all eat more later," like, it was like,
Yeah.
"Nah, man."
But I'm
Not a lot of
hungry.
Yeah,
people do
I'm
that.
hungry now.
I'm hungry.
That's why Chris.
Well,
that's why Chris
that's
Michelle.
also that idea that like I'm hungry and not like, well, I'm hungry, but we're all hungry, and if we're all together, we can like.
But it's hard
do
to
something.
listen to somebody tell you that, like, yo,
Yeah.
if you just don't eat right now,
We'll all
Yeah,
look like that.
yeah,
It's
but
really
I mean,
hard. yeah.
and I understand. Like, if I turn this down, then we can develop some negotiating leverage where we
Later.
can make this better long term, it's like right. But tonight,
But tonight,
Yeah,
That
and a
fridge
lot
is
of
empty.
people.
yeah.
A lot
And
of
that's
people
why
aren't gonna
Travis
turn
Scott's
down
going to do the
now.
Super Bowl, and that's why Chrisette Michelle did the inauguration.
Yeah, right,
It's like,
right,
you know,
right.
mad people turned it down.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
8, but all you
they can afford to turn it down.
Right, but all you need is if 8 people turn it down. All you need is that 9th person.
I
to
would
say
not
yes.
be interested in a Travis Scott halftime Super Bowl show.
Who is
Side
that? Who
note.
is that?
Well, no, he had like
don't
a
even know, bro.
Oh,
he
okay.
had like a
All right.
roller
All right.
coaster. He does
Oh,
like
yeah,
a roller
yeah.
coaster and fireworks and stuff.
But-
apparently, it's very.
But my
riveting.
thing is, but he wasn't their first choice. Like lots of people turned it down before. They
I'm
even
sure.
went.
Yeah,
I'm sure
like
Travis Scott
everybody.
wasn't their first choice. I'm sure.
No,
Yeah.
And
it
the-
was Rihanna.
And the
Right.
parallel,
And Rihanna was like, "Hell no, bitch."
it was like you don't even get paid for the Super Bowl. You have
Nope.
to pay
No.
to do it. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Yep.
but my point
Is,
my,
is Rihanna a fashion model or a singer? Or she sell
A little-
makeup?
all-
or-
a little-
She's
a little both.
all of
All of
those.
them.
She originally got famous for being a singer, yeah,
She's
and
an
then now
entrepreneur.
because all she was doing before was singing, and then she started acting. She had like a 360 deal, and then she just started doing it herself.
okay.
So now she has her own line, her own makeup line. She has
Okay.
her own.
Her last
clothing
album was
line.
lit, too.
Yeah,
So to
her
your-
last album did really well.
So to your point of eating, it's become in this time now where you have to be a quote unquote brand because one, as a musician in the major label, I'm sure you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything that any of us don't know.
Uh-huh.
You're not gonna own. Or it's even more difficult to own your actual creation. So
Well,
you're only
yeah.
going to get a fraction of what you would
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
from it. So the workaround to that is like, okay, well, if I'm an entity that's known, well, now I'll just put my name
Yeah,
on a whole
but
bunch of
she-
things you can sell.
She's
Yeah.
special
But-
just because she is actually involved in the creation of all the things that her name is in, and where a lot of people just put their
Right,
names
right.
on.
Word.
It. So she actually is being a businesswoman and creative.
she picks the
outside.
models
Yeah,
that she
yeah,
wants
yeah.
for her. But
Yeah.
but I wanted to parallel that to the music industry because it's like there'll always be people who'll stand on their pride and like turn things down, right? Like there's people who like Chance the Rapper who does own everything he creates, and even people like Russ who's like super successful, selling out like stadiums and went platinum on his own, right? But like we don't hear about them, you know, because like the people who are in charge of choosing who gets on magazine covers and the people who are in charge of choosing of who you see day in and day out don't want the person who knows that they can own all their stuff, right? So it's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know, and no matter how many of those people turn it down, no matter how many Chance the Rappers turn down, there'll always going to be somebody who's like, and I'll make how much money? Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And there'll be somebody, and then that person
Cardi
will
B
be
has that line, right? She likes $1 million checks.
right. But even
Where's my pen? I'm signing.
But even like, you know, even beyond that, because it's just like there'll always be a little pump, even if it's not little pump. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
They'll just make another one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like what they do is so easy and it's so kind of like replaceable, but they make sure that that's all you see.
Can
Like-
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
just insert something right there? The little bit that I have seen of the people that y'all mentioned they look to me like fabrications
Right.
because they just make them over and over and over again,
Right.
Yeah, they all have the same
designed
haircut.
to get us to aspire in the wrong direction.
Right. And even
Because what's the little white kid with all of the beads and the
Takashi,
that's what
the
it's-
color rainbow hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's such a diversion from the hero figures that are in like everything. That okay, he's kind of like the parsley on the plate compared to the Captain Americas and the
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
you know, and we don't have like there's Lil Wayne and there's all of these kind of like knucklehead fabrications of like, okay, you want to be like him because he's successful. It's like, yeah, but do you know how problematic that is
Yeah.
to metastasize that personality? Because
Yeah.
that's not even his personality.
No.
Y'all made that.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm gonna have to get off my lawn moment for real quick inserts really quick. I know we got to move. I can't imagine an industry trying to create a Chuck D or a Queen Latifah or a Nas.
But it's-
Yeah.
and it's-
like
It's
that's
so-
that's a lot of work and really hard to do. And
Right.
that's superhero like
Yeah.
Chuck D, Queen Latifah. They're
Right,
like
KRS-One,
super-
yeah.
They're like super. They're like super.
But and it's so much
human.
it's so
Yeah.
much more work to do because like that person has to like maintain a certain like moral center or a certain kind of
Right.
like integrity, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like when you
or
get
just skill, just
but
Yeah.
and
but
intellect.
but
They
even
had to already have that.
but it, no, but I mean you can listen, you can give people things to read, you can give people things to say.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like that person has to kind of maintain that throughout their life because like, you know, in the where we live
Yeah.
now, you're always on camera, even if you're not on camera, right?
Right.
Whereas like
Yeah.
it's easier to find somebody who's like more willing to play the heel or the degenerate and kind of just let them go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then what happens is Bobby Shmurda goes to jail and the label just writes it off.
Yeah.
Isn't
And-
Tekashi 6ix9ine going to jail?
And then the label just writes it off.
They got another one on the back
Listen, before when T.I. was in trouble, the label was like, "Oh no, T.I. makes us millions of dollars.
Yeah.
He's intelligent. We're actually in business with him." So
Yeah.
Atlantic made sure T.I. he was a 2-time felon. He got caught with guns.
Yeah.
They
Big guns.
right?
Yes.
Like there was
Second Amendment guns.
like
Second Amendment
his
guns.
label
he had that militia ammunition.
Yes, he did.
his label was behind
he was
him.
Like, people tried to shoot me.
And
I'ma
that's
shoot
the
him first.
only
Like,
reason he
okay,
didn't go to
yeah.
jail. Is because he had so much like rich, powerful people like behind him.
Yeah.
That like
But arguably, T.I. is much smarter than we realize him. He had his
Oh, yeah.
deals together and
But that's
shit.
what-
He
yeah.
was
But-
Real quick parallel to that. We'll have to do this offline. Explain Meek Mill then.
I mean, but he had people behind him too.
That's my point. I'm wondering because that's the parallel.
No, but when those people got behind him, things got a lot better for him.
But I'm wondering why and how. That's what I'm saying.
But
That's offline. We can't do that now.
My thing is the label's relationship with their artists is completely different. Like
Yeah,
they're not in business
Yeah.
with you anymore. Like
Yeah.
you know,
No.
you are the business, and it's like
Or well, back in the day, you also used to be a slave, right? Like you used to sign a deal, and then you'd be required to fulfill like 10 albums.
But
for them.
like being a slave is almost valued more than what's happening now. Because at least there was like, we're gonna work you and get money out of you. Now they
Yeah.
look at you like the product. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
we
you're
could
not
just
even
clone you,
right. Yeah,
I
it's
don't like any of these things.
I mean,
But let's
I'm looking with any of these.
We are running short on time, guys. We got
Yeah,
one
go
more
ahead.
video,
Let's do it.
and I went
Go
ahead
ahead.
and asked the question for the video before we played the video, so that we could end on a positive note because the name is Good Feeling. But let's go around the panel and just say one good feeling or one thing, one simple thing that we are looking forward to professionally in 2019. And I'm looking forward to completing my recording projects, my covers album, and doing the videos for those. Baxter?
I'm just looking forward to creating everything all the time.
Cool. Macau?
Okay, I think I answered it earlier, but I'll be
Professionally.
Yeah, I did. I said the album that I'm creating. So
Yes.
just be specific to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jason?
I'm finishing a record and a book before February is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So thank y'all all for being with us. Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
having me.
everyone who is listening. And this is Good Feeling from AD.
Man, you're out of your mind if you think that I'm done. This is just the beginning, and I'm having some fun. You think you know me, but low key I'm different, homie. Got a dollar and a dream, and you ain't taking it from me. I've been practicing this rapping for a couple of years. When I get on the mic, that's something you should be with. I'm not your ordinary rapper that be rapping for nothing. When you're looking at a rapper making something for nothing, I can rock to the beat. That was made for purpose, so I can rock to the beat. From a homie with up to shout out to Ringo, not the Beatles drummer. Talking about my boy from Bristol in New York every summer. The network is getting international. I'm just a kid from the Bronx, straight out of Webster Avenue. To be specific, I'm coming from the projects, and I'm just being honest. But the fact is, I ain't bothered by the criticism. I'm focused on my lyricism. I'm an anomaly, working in the broken system. But even though it's a challenge, yeah, I'm optimistic. With my eyes on the prize, at this point it's hard to miss it. You want me struggling for way too long. As you listen to my music, or relate through songs, I do my best to try to right my wrongs. I'm still at it. Now I can get my one right on, like still mad. We all gotta rest in peace. I won't act like I won't, but I never sleep. They say keep your head up, they got my eyes in the streets. And they got money for war, but they can run comedy. Another day we gotta wonder how to keep from going under the dump. So we gotta hustle, making moves, go to school, go to work, pay your dues. There's sometimes I feel good, there's sometimes I feel good, yo. So now the plot thickens if I move the blocks every time I hang around people who would just not listen as I try to be positive. Every day's a sick, but before me is the opposite. Another day, another dollar, another story. Watch them holler, living like the storm tomorrow. On the side that's only wrong. Truth is hard to swallow, so we stuck in the past. But people stuck in the bottom. And the motto, yeah, I'm